What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Thomas Gallery, and today I want to talk about a good memory of mine. Who remembers their first job? Their first paying job? Who remembers that? Then I'm asking here's another question I got for y'all. Those who are from DC, you know this especially. Who remembers the Summerworks program that was started by former mayor Marion, right? Former mayor of DC. Who remember that? I remember that. My first job, my first ever job, my first paying job was through Summerworks program. Now, for those who don't know, who aren't familiar with that, Summerworks program in the 90s was a program where when the kids, when summer was starting and the kids were out of school, and you wanted to give the kids something to do, instead of just running around doing nothing during the summertime. Mayor Marion started a program where he would take kids, junior high, because I started and I was in junior high, high school kids, put them in a program, and the program would send these kids to jobs and stuff, and they start working. They get their first job, right? So I had it real sweet because one, the first job I ever had, I was working at the VA Medical Center in Washington, D.C., right across the street from Washington Hospital Center. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. 50 Irving Street. Y'all know. Y'all know. And I was 13. I think it was about like 12 or 13 when I started volunteering there. First I volunteered there. And I remember volunteering there, and you go. I worked in the where I even remember the person. It was the person's name was Orlando something. Mr. Orlando Sellers. That was his name, Orlando Sellers. And I was working in I think it was called the transfer department. And what we do is you get a call, right? You be in the office. Transport. It was transport department at the VA Medical Center in Washington, D.C. What they would do is, if there was a veteran, because that's who was there, veterans, Veterans Affairs Medical Center, VA Medical Center, like one of the departments in the hospital will call transport, right? Will call transport, and they would say, "Hello, this is such and such from wherever department they were from. This veteran needs to be transported from this room to the cafeteria, or they're going home, or they just wherever they had to go." It was the transport job to go get them and transport them to where they had to go. Right, that was my first ever job. I was volunteering at that time, but it was my first job, and that was really cool. I actually liked that. Some real cool people. And here's the thing: I ain't supposed to say this, but when you're volunteering, they did some like you get a little lunch ticket thing where you punch in your number and you get a lunch stipend, lunch little thing where you go to the cafeteria, and once you get your food, they give you a certain amount on your lunch stub. Give them that, and it's like money. So we could do it every day. And when I would transport the veterans, and me being 13 years old, I'm young. And the reason why I got the job because my mother and my aunt worked at the VA Medical Center. They worked there, so they knew me because my aunt worked there and my mother worked there. So everybody in the hospital knew who I was. And at my lunchtime, I go visit my mother, in her office and all that stuff, and she may give me a couple dollars, saying lunch. But what's really cool was when I would transport the veterans. We would converse. They talking to me. Asking me, how I'm doing. How school. When I was in school during the fall. how you work here. My mother works here. They knew my mother was like, oh, I know your mother. You know. And sometimes they'll even slip me a little bit of money. Now here's the thing: you weren't supposed to take any money. You know, you weren't supposed to do that because you're getting paid. You're volunteering, so volunteers don't get paid. But you know, the veterans, the elders, they look out for a little homie. They know he be with $5. Now they know they're not supposed to do this, but they say, here you go, this is a little something. You know, go ahead. You know, don't tell nobody. You know. I was like, I ain't telling nobody shoot, because if I get caught, then I'm gonna get in trouble. But you know, they sliding a little homie, little some money. You know, a 13-year-old kid getting $5 for just just off the strength of just transporting somebody from one place to another. You know, slip a little homie something plus the lunch ticket that I got. You know, keep that on. You know, that was good. And the hospital, like, because me being in transport, you go throughout the entire hospital, like all floors, all departments. You go throughout the entire hospital. So during that whole summer, people are gonna know who you are. If they see your face all the time going through the hospitals, they transport, they see you, and every time they see you doing something. So eventually they're gonna see you, they're gonna know who you are. Plus my mother and my aunt working there, they really gonna know who you are. So when the summer was over, right? And then they had, I think the summer was over, and they think they had just started the Summerworks program, and I turned 14. I'm not sure how long it's been there, but I know the next summer when I turned 14. I turned 14. My mother was like, all right, we're going to sign you up for the Summerworks program. I didn't know what Summerworks program was. Like summer job. Like, all right. I didn't think nothing of it. Sign me up for the Summerworks program. Forgot where was it? Where was what was that building? Those who from DC who know about the Summerworks program know that small building. I can't remember the address of that building. Can't remember. I can envision the building in my head. I can't envision the street. I know a lot of stuff has changed over the years, but back then it was different. So, turned 14. Now I'm in Summerworks program. My mother tells me, they were going to send me somewhere else, but my mother was like, nah, the hospital wants you back. The hospital wants you back. I was like, okay, cool. Cause I know people there. I know my mom works there, my aunt works there. Everybody knows me, works there. So I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So summer turns around, 14. My first paying job at the age of 14. Well, it's fine. At the age of 14, my first paying job. Like, do you know? Well, I know you do, but just let me break it down for you like a fraction. The feeling you get when you're 14 years old, right? And show me what, because I think I was like I was at the Summerworks program for my entire from junior high to the 11th grade. My entire junior high up until I think the 10th. I think up until the 10th grade, the 10th or 11th grade, every summer I went to the VA Medical Center through Summerworks program because every year they want to be back, right? But every year I was in a different department. No. When I was volunteering in 13, I was at the geriatric clinic. I was at the geriatric clinic when I was volunteering. My first paying job. No, wait a minute. Hold up, I'm tripping. No, switch that. I'm bugging. You're right. I volunteered at transport. My first paying job, my first guy started getting paid at age 14, I was working at the geriatric clinic. And what was her name? Was it Debbie? Deborah? I was working under her and another woman who was from Ireland. I remember these things. And they loved me. I'm getting paid to I was basically like their administrative assistant, their secretary. I was basically helping them, do their thing in the geriatric clinic. Putting things away in the files and typing stuff up. Taking notes, things of that nature. And then this is before. This is way before. The internet as we know. Like we had internet. Yes, we had internet, but it wasn't like it is now. Wasn't like it is now. You can only do so much, but mainly filing and all that stuff. So filing, putting stuff away in the files, putting records in the computer, things like that in the geriatric clinic. And I would pretty much shadow Miss Deborah. Wherever she went, I would shadow her, So and I'm getting paid for this. Now, I'm trying how much I got. It was one time, and they had me like on a regular pay scale, like the real employees got a regular pay scale. It was like GS stuff like that. I was a GS3. Now, for those who know GS3, GS means think gross sale 3, like gross sale level 3. Like I was getting paid. Like I tell you, I was getting paid. I'm 14 years old, getting paid twice a month, like $500, $600 checks. Y'all don't hear me. 14 years old with a $400 to $600 check at 14. This is from working during the summer. That was my first paying job. That's my paychecks I'm getting. And they had a credit union in the hospital. So you know how you can go, you go to ATM and they check out the fees for using that ATM. Well, I'm with the credit union. My stuff is in the credit union. So when I get paid, they give me my check. This is before they didn't do direct deposit. At least I don't think they did. I didn't have direct deposit. I don't know. I don't know if that was a thing then. I don't think they had direct deposit. I don't think direct deposit wasn't even going on back then. Not sure. But I would have a check in my hand. They gave me my check, my stuff. I go to the credit union, put my money in. My first paying job. At 14. I volunteered at age 13. Started getting paid at age 14. Then they wanted me back age 15. I was 15 years old during the summer. They wanted me back. I was at a different department. What department was it? I went from geriatric clinic to what department I was in? No, from age 15 on. From age 15 on, they had me at the EEO office, Equal Employment Opportunity Office. This is pretty much the department where, how should I say this? It was a department where if people felt discriminated against or stuff like that, the department I was working in would take care of that. Like someone was being mistreated due to their race, their gender, stuff like that. That's what it was, the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, EEO office. And it was run by Mel Jordan, Mr. Mel Jordan. And he was the first mentor I ever had. Mel Jordan was the first mentor I ever had. He was the head. Now keep in mind, these departments that I'm working in, I'm working under the bosses of these departments. Like the boss of EEO was Mel Jordan. He was the boss of the entire EEO department. Meaning when they had their meetings of the hospital, he being the head of that department would be in the meeting. And I will go with him to the meeting. Like I met the president of the entire hospital, something Garfunkel. Because my mother told me his name is, it's not if I remember his name, it was something Garfunkel. Mr. Garfunkel was the head of the VA Medical Center in DC. I would be in the meetings Now, granted, I didn't understand how. I mean, I didn't really understand the significance of it then. I'm 14, 15 years old. I'm not really thinking about the significance of it. It's not until I got older and reminiscing back on that how significant that was. I am my first mentor. My first mentor was the head of the EEO department of the entire hospital. Okay, that's my first mentor. And everywhere he went, I went. When he went to lunch, I went to lunch. And we had Carol Smith. Hey Carol Smith, if you see this, and Treva Smith, hey Miss Treva. Those are people who work in the EEO department with Mr. Jordan, Mr. Mel Jordan. And every now and then, cause my mother worked the human resources department at the VA Medical Center. She worked in human resources. So she dealt with the hiring and the firing of the entire hospital. So she worked closely with the EEO department. Because there would be times I would see her come into the EEO department and talk to Mel. And Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan. I'm not going to call him my first name. No, out of respect. Mr. Mel Jordan. And I would see my mother and Mr. Mel Jordan in the office having actual meetings with each other about the goings on. Now at that age, I didn't understand what they were talking about. It didn't click in my mind what was really going on. I just see my mother talking to my mentor. It's cool. I really paid no mind, right? I ain't paying no mind. So they would talk and take care of business and go and all that stuff. And of course, me being her son, she would check on me. And she would ask them, she would ask Miss Smith, Miss Treva Smith, Miss Carol Smith, how am I doing? Like everywhere I went in the hospital, somebody was checking on me. Like I couldn't do nothing wrong. Well, I got a little bit of trouble. A little bit of trouble before, because one of the times when I was volunteering, I was cool with the security guards there too. Just 13-year-old kid being cool with everybody. And one of the security guards, her daughter worked there. And we walking around in the hospital. We got lost in the hospital. Right? So this is a little side story. We got lost in the hospital. We walked through one of the emergency doors we're not supposed to walk through. The alarm goes off. We walk through the door. We're like, oh crap! Like, we open up the alarm door to one of the, we don't know where we are. We're lost in the hospital. Yeah, I was like 13 when that happened, because I wasn't used to the hospital. But by the time I hit age 14 and on, I knew the hospital in and out. I knew all sections of the hospital, all of it. So, we that right there and all that stuff, and going through the wrong door and the alarm going off, and the security going to the door and checking things out and all that stuff. We ain't getting no trouble, but we ain't do that again. So back to the thing. Working at the EEO office, I'm in the meetings, right? I'm in these meetings about the goings on of the entire hospital. I don't really pay this no mind. Like saying, I'm young, so I don't really know. I ain't really picking up on how significant this is. That I'm actually in a room where the bosses of every single department of that hospital is in one room, and I'm just a 14, 15-year-old kid sitting in between these people. I'm sitting right next to Mr. Garfunkel. I'm sitting in between Mr. Garfunkel and Mr. Mel Jordan. I'm sitting in between the boss of the hospital and the boss of my department I'm working in between them. And as the meeting going on, I fall asleep. I fall asleep in the middle of the meeting. In the middle of the meeting, everybody's sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. I don't know what's going on, right? I fall asleep in the middle of the meeting. Mr. Jordan hits the table. Bam! Hits the table. Wakes me up. I'm like this. I had a notepad in my hand. I had a yellow notepad in my hand and a pen. And I took some little notes. I was told to take notes by Mr. Jordan. They said, take notes. I'm taking notes. All of a sudden, I start dozing off. Bam! I get up. I'm up now. I get back to the office. Late on that day, I get back to the office. It's my time for us to leave, right? Time for us to go. You know, everybody's good. Everybody going about their day. I go to my mother because my mother got off at 4:30. So I go wait for her. You know, time for her to go. Was it 3 or 4:30? I'm not thinking about 3. So I don't know. I wait for time for her to go. First thing she say, heard you fell asleep in the meeting today. I said, how she know that? Now I remember. Mr. Mel Jordan got her number too. Everybody got everybody's number. So obviously he told my mom that I fell asleep in the meeting. So first thing she say, hey son, how's it going? Sound good? Yeah. Heard you fell asleep in the meeting today. Now, and she said, you know, she ain't biting my head off. She's like, no, you can't do that. You know, you in these meetings and stuff. You know, you can't fall asleep like that. Now, this is very, you know, important stuff that you're being allowed to see because I was the only child. I was the only child in there. Keep in mind, there were other people working at the Summerworks in the VA Medical Center. There were other people working there in the VA Medical Center. No teenagers, no young teenagers like myself. But I was the only child in that meeting because the person that I'm being mentored by, Mr. Mel Jordan, is the head of the EEO department. So he has to be there. So he told me to come on in there. And I'm getting paid. I'm a GS3, GS4. I even got a pay grade. Like next time I was a GS4. Like what 14, 15, 16 kid you know today was getting paid $400-500+ at 14, 15 years old. Anybody who was in the Summerworks program in DC during that time know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you were in DC during the 90s and you were in the Summerworks program, and I say people who are 14, 15 years old used to get paid $400, $500, $600, they know I'm telling the truth. What job you know today paying you like that? Like this is a government job. This VA Medical Center, that's a government job. What job you know today is paying youth? Keep in mind, this was only for the youth. The Summerworks program was strictly for teenagers. Like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Like from junior high to high school age was predominant demographic. So imagine hundreds and thousands of black kids from 14 to 17 or 14 to 18. I started at 14, right? But there were people older than me still there too. So like 14 to 18 to 19 doing volunteer work there, being an actual employee, internships, and then after all of that, once you were done, there was a job for you there. Now, I didn't even know this. I didn't know this because I think like my last year there was the last time Mr. Mel Jordan was working. I think he had retired. He was going to retire My last year there was the year he was going to retire. So I'm in high school now. I think I'm like 16, 17 years old, right? He's retiring. It's my last summer there. So I didn't do it no more. I didn't do it. I didn't do the Summerworks program anymore. Come to find out, I didn't find this out until I was like in my 20s that Mr. Jordan was trying to get me as a permanent employee there. I didn't know this. No one had told me this when I was in my teenage years. I didn't find this out until I was in my 20s. I was in like my early 20s. My early 20s, and by that time, the Summerworks program had ended. It was gone. The Summerworks program was over now. But I was told, my mother told me this. My mother said, I was in my early 20s, like, Mel was, she said, Mr. Jordan was trying to get you hired on permanently. He said, he's trying to get you hired on permanently. I was like, really? When? It's like when you was the Summerworks program. He was trying to get you out of the Summerworks program and get you in as a full-on employee, like permanently. He was trying to get you there permanently while you were going to school. I said, what? Like, how come ain't nobody tell me this? He said, he was retiring at the time, and so I guess some stuff ain't fall through for him like he was trying to, so he couldn't get me on. But can you imagine? Like this, like somebody, like he was trying to get me. He was trying to plug me in. He was the plug. My mother was trying. My mother and Mr. Jordan, like she said, her and Mr. Jordan were trying to find a way to get me to be there permanently. You serious? Like, I'm a young teenager in high school. I mean, first of all, I'm in junior high getting paid. Then I'm in high school getting paid during the summer. Then they tried to get me on permanently during school and summertime. I didn't find this out until I was like in my 20s. I was like, because what job do you know was paying kids? I was a kid getting paid $500, $600. Like I said, anybody who was there at Summerworks program know what I'm talking about. You know I'm telling the truth. When you got your check and you saw that from 350 up, you saw that? Yo, real. And then they took Summerworks program away. They took it away. Last time I heard, I don't know if they brought it back because I ain't been in DC in a while, but last time I heard about it, they had stopped the Summerworks program. After Marion was no longer the mayor, they took it away. Gone. No more Summerworks program. And as far as I know, it hasn't been back since. That was like, you don't know what that felt like, man. Imagine being 15 years old with a $500 check. Legal check. Let me say that. Because there are ways for youth to get that kind of money. It may not be legal, but besides the point. Imagine being a 14, 15-year-old getting $300, getting paid $300 plus 1 year at 14, and then going from getting paid $300 plus to $400, $500, and even $600 at age 15 and 16. I wish. You know what I'm saying? If you knew then what you know now? If I knew then what I know now. That's the reason why. That's the reason why former mayor, rest in peace, Marion Barry, will always be held in high regard in DC. Even with his scandal You know, the whole drug bust scandal, even with all that, DC still hired him as mayor because he did right by the people of Washington. He gave black children a way of putting money in their pocket legally. He gave black. I'm one of them. Me and my sister. Was in that program. Getting paid. That's why he's forever the mayor of DC. No matter who's in that office, the eternal mayor of DC will always be Marion Barry. Because of that one thing he did. He gave thousands of little black kids a way of making money. Help pay bills and help their parents out. Getting real. Beautiful, beautiful time. Anyway, I done rambled on for almost 31 minutes. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to my story time. Leave a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I will catch you all later. Peace.